don't be slow. While I'm coming, there's fire in the hole. Children, don't be slow. While I'm coming in the hole. Alright, what's up everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool live stream back in Planet Coaster today. We are back in the Silver Dollar City recreation, of course, like we have been pretty much every Monday. I think there was only 1 week we didn't do it, but that's okay. But we're back into it once more again. So we're back in the awesome recreation, best recreation of Silver Dollar City, of course. Of course, there's not, I don't think, really any full recreations of it out there. However, I'm still pretty proud of how this turned out. Like, we've been working on Midtown quite a bit, and today I got some more reference videos and footage to be able to build more of this out, play more of this out. So hopefully that goes well. There's more of Wagon Works that we still haven't built as well, so there's still a lot more that we need to get done when it comes to that. So let's hop right on into it. I got my reference right here that I'm going to bring up here. That way we can get to building, you know? That way we can get to building. Alright, let's get into my gallery. There it is. There we are. Now this is going to be a very useful footage because I got a lot of Midtown with this footage. So just walking around and hopefully getting everything we need here. Alright, so let me mess up. Okay, so over here, there's that planter that I built. And this is the White River Merchant Company. Yeah, merchant. Does it say merchant? Oh, Mercantile Company? Something like that. But we got the side of this building now. We got that. Going to SDC on Friday, any tips? Let's see, Friday probably won't be very busy. Hasn't been busy hardly at all lately, so won't really be busy until the following week, I think. But for any tips, if you're getting there super early, try to be the first in line for Time Traveler. That line will get long pretty quick. And also Powder Keg. Those lines get long pretty fast. Those are the two lines that get long pretty quick. Powder Keg always has a line. Chances are they're only going to be running one train, and it's going to be a nightmare of lines for Powder Keg. So I would say probably Time Traveler first if you can get there pretty quick, and then rush over to Powder Keg before the line gets too terribly long, because its line backs up pretty quick. Or vice versa, you know. I haven't really known what Time Traveler's lines have been like lately, because I haven't been on that side of the park much during this festival, and I haven't actually ridden it yet, or ridden it in quite some time. So I would say, but usually Time Traveler gets the line pretty quick, and again, probably not going to be that busy overall for the park, which is definitely a good thing. As for Outlaw Run, you can pretty much hit it at any time. It's not going to have a line pretty much all day. And if it does have a line, it will probably be around... Outlaw only gets a line maybe around 2 to 3 o'clock p.m. for a little bit. It gets a little bit of a rush, and then that's about it. And when I say rush, 10-15 minutes at the most. Considering buying the Trailblazer Unlimited, should I do it for that Friday? I personally probably would say no. But, again, if you're wanting to get lots of rides on either Powder Keg or Time Traveler, maybe. I don't think there'll be a ton of lines overall. Even Fridays have been pretty slow for us, so... Why is it already auto-saving? I haven't had this... Well, I might have had this open for 30 minutes, but I don't think I have. But apparently I have. But it's kind of tough to tell if you should get a Trailblazer or not. I mean, I usually wouldn't. Outlaw never usually has lines. The swing can get a line if they're running only one swing, and chances are everything's running one train. One swing, one train. Everything's going to be running one. I can tell you that right now. We simply do not have the staff to run 2 trains on anything. Especially Powder Keg. Powder Keg is so short-staffed, even one of their employees is actually transferring to Outlaw because they don't want to work at Powder Keg anymore, which puts them even more understaffed. So that's fun. And Powder Keg's going to be probably having the longest line because it has a long cycle with only 16 per train. So, because its cycle is like 2.5 minutes, and you're running one train on only 16 people every train. So it's going to take 3+ minutes for 16 people every cycle. So even on slower days, they still manage to get a pretty decent line. Outlaw doesn't ever get a line because even if they're running one train, they can do 24 per train, and the cycle is really short. So Outlaw Run, you don't really have to worry about the lines for Outlaw Run, which is great because it's the best ride there, in my opinion. Wildfire's lines usually stay pretty low too, as long as it's not super busy. I think they do pretty good because they have pretty high capacity as well. But Outlaw Run being tucked in the back and also having a short cycle, it's still pretty good. First time, and I might not be able to go back for a long time. Probably going to do it to be able to get a lot of rides. I mean, yeah, if you want to. Absolutely. How long has this project taken so far? I originally started it back in 2016 when the full game came out for Planet Coaster, but I went long periods of time without working on it, so I probably could have had it done a long time ago, but now I'm starting to get a little bit more committed on building it. Building more often, and hopefully getting it completed. Yeah, SDC is pretty rough when it comes to wages right now. We got a $2 bump as well, and they were actually going to take it away right after summer, but a lot of the employees cried out saying that is not a good idea, which it wouldn't have been because they would have, who knows, I mean, we're already short-staffed now. Imagine if they would have taken the $2 away from employees. That would have been a really stupid thing to do, and as much as I love SDC, you know, I'm kind of questioning them right now on some of those decisions when it comes to that. But they did extend the $2 raise for employees all the way to the end of the year, so I'm happy they did that, but in my opinion, it should be permanent, but as of right now, it's going away after at the end of the season, so which is whatever. And hopefully they'll make it permanent. Otherwise, next season's going to be another crap year. Is row 11 the best on Outlaw Run? Yes. That's personally my favorite because it is the smoothest, and you still get all the forces of the back row because it's a non-wheel seat. So, and you want to be in that non-wheel seat, trust me. If you want like some really good airtime, I would say I wish our rows were numbered at Outlaw. I've been actually pushing for that to try and get some numbered rows since they're not numbered. But I would say if you want a good middle spot, I would say either car 4 seat 1 or 2 or car 5 seat 1 and 2. Car 5's a really good. Is one of my favorites on car 5, which would be four rows from the back, which would be let's see, 11, 10, 9. So row 9? Yeah, row 9. I like row 9 a lot. Just go in the non-wheel seat. Sit in the front of the cars. I don't think a wheel seat's necessarily that super rough, but of course I don't think the ride's rough at all. But if you want the more smoother experience, sit in a non-wheel seat, of course. That would be the best idea. Alright, so we're going to build the side of this building up, and then we'll, of course, work over by grandfather's mansion as well. I got all this, I got references all the way from here, all the way to the bottom of Wagon Works, so should last me a while I'm getting that. Best row on every other coaster, I think for, say, Wildfire, I would say my favorite would definitely be very last row. So row 8 on Wildfire, and then as for Time Traveler, definitely the back. Like, that's no question. Like, it is really, really good in the back. For Time Traveler. Like, there's just no question. Like, most of the rides will, if you request a row, just make sure you request a row saying, hey, can I have the back, or row 8, can we do row 8? Most operators are okay with it. Like me, I don't care. I will let you go wherever you want. So when you get to the grouper or whatever on Time Traveler, if they don't have a grouper, you usually can just go wherever you want. But if they have a grouper, just ask for row 8. Don't be scared to ask. We'll let you have it. Most operators are totally okay with that. There are very few slim ones that will be stingy about it for some reason. I don't know why. There's no point. If somebody wants a specific row and wants to wait for the next train, just get somebody else to take the empty row that you're trying to fill, you know? I don't know. So it's kind of weird. What's up, David? How's it going? And let's see, Powder Keg. I don't really know if there's really a good row on Powder Keg. I guess front. I don't know if there's really one I would say is really a must on Powder Keg. Like, when I ride Powder Keg, I really don't care what row I'm in. I just don't really have a preference. Fire in the Hole, same. I don't really have a preference on where to sit on that one. It's just a dark ride indoor coaster, so nothing too fancy there. But as for everything else, Wildfire in the back, Time Traveler in the back, Outlaw Run, second row from the back, or fourth from the back are the two best rows in my opinion on Outlaw. I can give the most on Outlaw because that's the one I've ridden the most. So, because I've ridden on every single seat on there. Every single seat. Still blows my mind how many people get off it thinking it's rough. I don't get it. If you compare it to most wooden coasters, it's pretty glossy smooth. It still has that wooden coaster feeling, but I don't consider that feeling rough. You know, I consider it kind of an out of control feeling, you know, is this thing going to stay together feeling, you know? That's the kind of feeling it honestly should give off. Powder Keg's the same. Any row, launch coasters kind of just work that way. Yeah, and there's not really much on that drop at the end on Powder Keg. That drop doesn't do anything for me, so like it doesn't really feel any better in any specific row either. So again, on Powder Keg, I'd say any row. That's me. That's me. So when people like, I guess the front, I just kind of say maybe the front because again, like, you get the better view, I guess, so. That's the only way I could say on why I would choose powder keg in the front. Rode the I Forest this rode the Beast with me, hated it. I love the Beast. I do love the Beast. That is one legend. I'm so glad I got to ride that at night. I got a night ride on Beast because I got to ride it during Haunt and everything. I think that's the name of their event, Halloween event. That was pretty awesome. Does the park allow GoPros mounted to your chest? No, they do not. At the rides, they will not allow you to have them. You can have them in the park, but you can't have them on the rides. You can have them probably on some rides, just not like the coasters or anything. Say like rides like Flooded Mine or the Steam Train or just stuff that doesn't really matter. You could have those on there, but like roller coasters, no. You would have to get special permission from safety and security, and you have to go through like all that stuff, safety and security, and stuff like that. You have to get special permission, basically, to do that. So even if you come to Outlaw, I'm gonna tell you to put it away or put it in the cubbies. So I will not allow. Not being a jerk is just the rules. That's one thing I hate is when people get mad at me for enforcing the rules, and I'm just like, yeah, bruh, I'm just enforcing the rules. Don't get mad at me. I gotta enforce them. It's my job. Just saying. If you're a big YouTuber, they'll just let you attach plants to the front seat POV, but that's very special cases. Like I said, if you ask for permission and stuff, like, you know, SDC is pretty easy to get permission from, I think, but again, you're gonna have to go through all that stuff. All you got to do is say you're in some sort of club or something, and they'll be like, sure. And then any equipment that you use obviously has to get approved too. So you can't just bring whatever and expect it to be approved. Chest mounts, I don't think they usually approve. As far as I know. September 10th and 11th was my first time at STC. Loved everything about it. Nice. I'm glad you had a good time. Especially with a lot of stuff closed right now. It's hard to get the full STC experience because a lot of stuff is closed down right now due to staffing mostly. Not really even COVID anymore. Like, it's just staffing issues. Like, the park's literally having trouble just keeping the rides open. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that it takes extra staff to do multiple trains for safety-wise. Is the cave closed at this time of year? No, it's still open. I'm not sure if they're doing full tours. I believe they're doing full tours, as far as I know. But, yeah, the cave's been open. It is open, which is really nice. I haven't done the cave in a while myself. I need to do it again. It's been quite a few years since I've done the cave. I've always wanted to do the lantern tour, which is basically they turn all the lights off and all you have is the lanterns, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool experience from what I've heard, and I've never actually done it myself, so I think it's an upcharge to do the lantern tour. I'd imagine I get a discount. Are there any major rides closed? No, they usually always try to have major rides open. They always have priority rides. For instance, if they have to choose whether to open Outlaw Run or the high-low silos, they're going to choose to open Outlaw Run. You know what I mean? Yeah, the cave can flood, and they do shut down if there is lightning within 20 miles of the park, too. So there's that, I guess. But alright, that's looking pretty solid. Might get a pathway here. I don't want you to really connect to the other side, though. I mean, we can put curbs in there, or right there, actually. There we go. That works. But I think the cave's the first one to close down, because again, if they're in the middle of a tour and such, they want to get the people out there before the lightning gets there. And all the major coasters and big rides shut down if there's lightning within 10 miles. So if there's lightning within 10 miles, a 10-mile radius, then the large coasters will shut down, and the small outdoor rides will remain open, and the indoor rides. If lightning gets within 5 miles of SDC, all outdoor rides shut down. That's how our weather works at the park. So. Oops. Hit a button. Hopefully I didn't on my stream deck by accident. Hopefully I didn't do anything. Doesn't look like I did. Okay, there's like this little chimney thing that is very similar to the one at the entrance. I don't know if I can model it off of that, but we're gonna take a look to see how close this one is. It's kind of similar to this guy. Not exactly the same, but it's similar. And I think I am going to recycle a little bit here. Because we're going to cheat a little bit. Not by much, but we're cheating. Yeah, it's been... we had some storms throughout this last week on Friday and Saturday. Friday, we were closed for, gosh, like 6 hours. From like 3:20 in the afternoon to like close for storms, and we almost opened back up, but we didn't because the weather got too close again. Okay, so for this, let's do one kind of like this. One coming out, and then we're going to take one of these to go up, lay it back slightly, and then we need to put a piece on top. What happens if it just rains and no lightning at SDC? There are a couple rides that go down for rain, and the only major ride that goes down for rain is Powder Keg. Powder Keg's the only big coaster that goes down for rain. All the other coasters can run in the rain. A couple of flat rides also shut down for rain, like the Mighty Galleon, which is like the pirate ship. And then I think there's like one other ride that shuts down for rain, I think, too. And I think it's an Expo. It wasn't It might be Electro Spin, but I can't remember. Which is the disco ride. I've been trying to pick a weekend for Cedar haunts, but weather has been 30 to 50% chance of rain consistently, hoping that might change soon. Right? I went a one time to Cedar Point when there was a chance of rain, and the park was nice and slow because of it, which was definitely a plus. And it rained off and on and thundered for like, it was kind of scattered, but thankfully it held off for the most part, and it was just a nice slow day. That was actually the last time I went there too. Oh, that's a thatch roof. That looks different for some reason. Trying to see if there's any piece here that we can use for this top part. See, this almost works, but it looks like since it's like a corner piece to something else, if I just had like I don't know, it doesn't really work. Also, guys, if there's any like equipment that you're interested in that I maybe use, I do have links down in the description. If you check there, I actually have links to Amazon pages that will take you to the equipment I use, like for my microphone, webcam, stream deck, and such like that. Yes, I'm working at the park every day. I don't get days off. There's no days off for any employees. If the park's open, I'm there. There's like no way to get that we're getting days off. Let's see here. I could just make this out of art shapes, and that's where I think we might have to do here. Kind of like this color. That might do the trick. And it works. Works pretty well. Now, I should be working at Outlaw Run. If I'm not at Outlaw Run, you can always check Powder Keg too, because I'm also signed off at Powder Keg, and with their staffing issues going on, I might end up there a little more often now. And I don't want to end up there more often, but it's most likely going to happen. Also, that part gets higher up too. SDC buildings are so weird sometimes. So weird. All right, so I like the idea of working on each part of the different buildings each time. So now that we've worked on that, we can probably work a little over here by grandfather's mansion. Because right next to it, we have where the coffin is. One of the most photogenic spots. Saw you at Outlaw Run. It looked like right after a shift change. There's no shift changes, so no. we work every day, or work all day every day. If that makes sense. There's no half and half. We work the full 12 to 14 hours during the Pumpkin Festival for 5 days a week. Yeah, I was in overtime all of Sunday and probably half of Saturday. If I got fired from SDC, what park would I... Why do I have to be fired? You mean if I, like, left SDC and went to a different park? Why do I have to be fired? If I was to work at a different park, I'd imagine I would move because there's no other park I mean, I'm not gonna drive like 3 hours every day to like Six Flags or Worlds of Fun. But if I got to choose what park I would work at, probably like Cedar Point or something. You know, I don't know. I wasn't there probably because we were doing like lunch breaks and stuff, so I was probably either on lunch or something along those lines. Let's see, last Friday. I think I was. Oh, I wasn't there in the morning. Because I was working on PAs in the morning. I was in the office the first hour and a half. Unless I don't know what time you got there, but it was probably on. Come to Carowinds so I can supervise you. See, I feel like supervising is a lot different at SDC than Cedar Fair. At Silver Dollar City, it is not easy to become a supervisor. It's really hard. I say really hard, but like, it's very difficult to become a supervisor. There's a lot to it that goes into it. I'm not saying there's not when it comes to Cedar Fair, because I'm sure there is as well, but I can't speak for that, of course, but I don't know. I just feel like, because SDC doesn't have a whole lot of supervisors. There's not a ton of them, if that makes sense. So there's a lot less, there's not that many. At like a Cedar Fair park, there's probably more. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jacob, but I'd imagine you guys have a lot more supervisors than we do when it comes to that. So, I mean, I had a chance to apply for one, but I decided not to, because there was one that did open up not long ago, since it's been taken now. But worst coaster SDC, if we're talking any of the coasters, I mean Grand Exposition coaster. I mean, it's the kiddie coaster, so if we're counting kiddie coasters. If we're not counting kiddie coasters, I would say Fire in the Hole. It's a classic, but it's way outdated and not great anymore. Which is okay because, you know, it's about to shut down, so in the next season or two. I think it's got one more year after. I think 2022 is actually Fire in the Hole's last season. So if you haven't ridden the original Fire in the Hole, then now's the time to do so, because it will be gone after next season. Then again, there's going to be a new version of it, and it sounds like, oh, I got breaking news. There are reports that the new Fire in the Hole will not be manufactured by Gerstlauer. I heard that the manufacturer for the new Fire in the Hole is going to be RMC. That is what one of our maintenance guys said the other day. I think it was yesterday. Rocky Mountain Construction, because they were the lowest bidder. Which I'm not sure about that. I don't know if I like that idea of RMC taking on the new Fire in the Hole. If that makes sense. So apparently RMC's taking on the new job. Does RMC have a powered model now? I didn't even know that. I'd imagine that's what it's going to be then, because it sounds like it is going to be very similar to the original, but just updated and in a new location. That's what I was asking Jask. I was like, I didn't know RMC had a power model. I don't know how much the layout is. I heard that there was going to be a drop track. I don't know if that's false now since RMC's doing it, and I've never seen an RMC do a drop track before. But it sounds like they are going to make it as close to the original as possible, from what I've heard. I actually saw this passing by on my day off. They were actually transporting one of the Fire in the Hole trains to somewhere else. Like, I saw the train on the back of a truck. They had one of the Fire in the Hole trains on the back of the truck. That way the new trains can be modeled after the old ones. Whoever's building it is getting they're doing that. So I heard the drop track rumor just from inside the park, but I'm kind of doubting it now that RMC might be doing it, and that it sounds like they're going to be really trying to stay close to the original layout. So I'd imagine that it might not have a drop track now. That was just kind of an inside rumor at the park, and I'm really sad if that rumor doesn't become true, because I feel like a drop track would work perfectly in there, and you could still make it. It's obviously going to be a family coaster, and everything. I don't doubt that. So, but I was really hoping that that drop track rumor would be true. But yeah, I heard that RMC is actually going to be doing the new Fire in the Hole, which kind of makes sense because I think they retracked Blazing Fury. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard that they actually did the retrack for Blazing Fury at one point. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but apparently they had the lowest bid. So SDC went with whoever was offering the cheapest, which ended up being Rocky Mountain Construction. So SDC might have 2 RMCs, just like Fiesta Texas. It might be happening. Trick Track double up on the new Fire in the Hole. Been waiting for RMC to create an inverted model. that this ride's going to open in 2023 unless it gets delayed. The reason why I say that is because they just broke ground not too long ago, and they're prepping the area right now. So it will be under construction all of next season, since they just broke ground this year. This is kind of what they did. If you look at previous projects, Time Traveler's construction started in 2016. They started clearing the land in 2016, and that was a 2018 ride. So they started clearing the land the year before, towards the end of the year, and then the next year it's under construction the whole year, and then it opens for the following season. So we could see track going up as soon as this off season. Who knows? Like, obviously they usually build the track first, and then the building goes up over it. So we might be seeing track soon. Who knows? By the end of the season, we could be seeing those track pieces laying down there. If you want a sneak preview, you might be able to see something from the steam train, because the steam train goes right by Fireman's Landing, and it's going to be right behind Fireman's Landing in that old parking lot area, the old employee parking lot, to the left. So if you have Fireman's Landing on your right while you're on the train, if on your left-hand side is where the new Fire in the Hole is going. So that would be pretty cool. Can you believe that this year will be 5 years since Planet Coaster was released? It's insane. It's almost 5 years old. Absolutely insane. There's an SNS Access coaster sold in Europe. Was there really? I didn't know about that. You must be doing your research, finding all this info. I would love to see. Too bad there's not one in the U.S. I want to ride one. They look pretty interesting. But I'm sure some will pop up in the U.S. eventually. But that'll be cool. It should be pretty cool. All right, this should all be path as well. There's a tiny little planter with a tree coming out. Of course, classic Silver City. And then we will put in the coffin. I want to say there's a piece somewhere in Planet Coaster where I can make that happen. Pretty sure. All right, let's go. We're not gonna put mulch pieces. I mean, I guess I could put a mulch piece in here. Let's see if I can lower the terrain a little bit. Nope. It's not gonna happen because the path is right there. No matter. We'll just paint it. And put in a tree. Let's see. Let me see if I can see the top of this tree in my video. I can. Because it's a tall tree and the branches aren't coming up and or only coming up at like the top of the building. So let me see if I can find a really tall tree that's not that thick. Maybe something like this. No, that's still too thick. That's thinner. It's a little bit too much at the top too. My favorite tree to use, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I have so many that I like. I mean, I like the oak tree a lot because it fills in a lot, but I do tend to use, I usually use the oak tree. I use the ponderosa pine, whatever, however you say that, and then the sycamore I use a lot. And then I've been using the Brazil nut trees a lot, and then the birch and the ash. Those are the ones that I use the most, I would say. And then the marula tree as well. I use that one a lot. Typically don't use a lot of the other ones unless I need some palm trees or something. I don't use the poplars really much unless I'm using them for like kind of decorative trees. I guess that's what you would use those for what you would use those for the most. These trees are too big. I don't know which one to use for this tree because these are all a little bit too much, and it's interesting because like it's a very tall tree, so like the branches don't come off until at the top of it, so it's kind of, but it's not very thick on top. How are you going to do the 2020 Rapids? Well, let me go over and show you what I did because I've already started building it. It's over here. And the easy answer is mods. Planet Coaster mods that have been released. And so yeah, here we got Mystic River Falls, which opened in 2020, which the mod allows me to do make super short track pieces, making it easier to navigate it around. So mods are great. Again, I haven't completely finished it yet, and as you can see, we did not too long ago. We actually put the sign up, which is pretty cool. This is a Theme Maker's Toolkit item that someone made for Darren, and I'm using it for mine as well. I can't remember his name off the top, or the name of the creator off the top of my head that actually made this toolkit item for the Mystic River Falls sign. Let me take a look. It was made by Mango. So Mango created that sign on the Theme Maker's Toolkit, which is great. But basically the mod allows you to have no limits on tracks, and so I was able to make a scenery lift hill, so this makes it look like there is a vertical lift, but I actually built the actual lift on the inside of it, so the rafts will go up vertically inside the tower. That's the only way I could get it up here without having some weird stuff. So thanks to this mod, I was able to make this at least somewhat functional. Besides the lift hill being wonky, everything's functional on it. So with the drop and everything works on it. So pretty cool. Oh, whoops, I'm over here by Time Traveler. And that mod also helped with Time Traveler because I was able to get the mock spinning coaster trains on a launch coaster as well. A 90-degree lift hill. Yep, that's basically the best option I had, and I hid it inside the tower, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna put like fake rafts coming around. There wasn't really a great way to do it, so that was probably the best way that we could have done it, which is funny. But hey, what works works. So, but again, recently we've been working in here in Midtown because it is one of the most empty areas of the park, and we want to fill that in. All right, let's go ahead. We'll wait on that tree. Let's see if I can find maybe a coffin. Don't know if there's one in the game of any sorts. There might be. There is. There is the vampire coffin. from the spooky pack. And then we have this one. Can I change the purple on this? I can, because we want that to be a black. I'm glad we can change that, because that allows me to just put this right in here, which is perfect. Because again, we have that coffin sitting right here. Will this be on the workshop? It will eventually be, and I hope sooner that it will be on there sooner rather than later. But yes, when I get it to a state to where I'm happy with, I will post it on the workshop. Yes, for sure. I mean, I gotta share this with everyone when it's done, so. And I'll constantly be updating it, and I also want to create a old-time Christmas version of the park where it has all the lights and stuff. That would be really cool as well. So I do have plans on releasing it. I know a lot of people want me to release it before it's done too, and I'm just like, nah. I want to wait until at least most of the park's done. And I say that, when I say that, I mean, like, it doesn't have to be done. I just want every area to at least be somewhat, or pretty well developed, to where it looks like it's finished zoomed out, maybe. Like, you zoom out and it looks like it's actually finished. So, yeah. Am I ready for an old-time Christmas? I actually am, because I hate the hours of pumpkins in the city for the Harvest Festival, just because we're getting our butts worked off so much, and we have to work those crazy, insane hours. The only good thing about this festival is the paychecks. That is literally the only good thing. So, but, you know, money's money, so I don't exactly know what this roof looks like. It looks like it's pretty flat, maybe? I look up at it. Looks like there's a chimney or something coming out of it. My favorite launch coaster, or just like, because I'm not sure exactly if I have a favorite. Not too sure. It's a tough question. Not sure if I really have a favorite. I really like the Vector and the Copperhead Strike with the mock multi-launches. Those are pretty good. I like those. I wish we had some air compressed launches in the game. Getting that sweet overtime though, yes. That sweet overtime. It is nice to get that overtime sometimes. And it's pretty insane when you're in overtime. Why is that moving so much? When I get into overtime, I'll sit down there and get into overtime on like the third day of the week. So, yeah. It's like the third day of the week and I'm in overtime. Like, I kid you not. Out of the 5. Sometimes, well, I guess it's more the 4th day. Do I think Planet Coaster 2 is being made yet? Yes, I do. I truly do believe that, because everything on the leaked roadmap that came out in like 2018 has come true, and then after the announcement of Jurassic World 2, which was also on the leaked roadmap, yeah, I think it's definitely coming. Don't know how soon. It won't probably be anytime soon, but like in the next 2 years or so. It is going to be my guess. I'd say the next 2 years. I'm going to say at the soonest it would be 2023. What kind of thing am I on there? Do you know why Outlaw Run is getting rougher? Well, it's not getting rougher, I can tell you that. It's about the same as it's been for the last 6 years. I mean, it was super smooth its first year, and then... see, in my personal opinion, it's not even rough. It's not rough at all. I seriously do not understand why people call it rough. It is beyond me. I feel like there's people think like if it is not glass smooth, if there's 2 bumps in the track, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough, guys. I don't know. Maybe I have a better tolerance when it comes to rougher rides, I guess, but I don't find it rough. Then again, I ride the ride every day. Just make sure you don't sit in a wheel seat, and you're golden. And even the wheel seats aren't even that bad. Like, yeah, the wheel seats are a little rougher, and I think it's more of an out-of-control feel. I consider it not rough, but more of an out-of-control feel. It's got that wooden coaster feel to it. But it's not like your classic over-the-top rough wooden coaster. It's more of a... I'd say it's more of a out of control, is this thing going to stay together kind of feeling, which is what a wooden coaster should feel like, you know? I seriously don't think it's rough. Now, people have their own opinions, and that's totally fine, but I just don't understand why people think it's rough, but that's me. See, I don't even think Thunderation's rough either. I think Thunderation is the roughest ride in the park, but I don't think it's that rough either. Like, I can tolerate it, no problem. I did think Thunderation was the worst experience when it had the bump in the tunnel. There was one season, I think it was 2018, or 2019, there was this horrible bump in the tunnel. We called it Thunder Bump. Where it felt like a literal car wreck. It felt like you're in a car wreck. Thankfully, they fixed that spot in the track, and it's not like that anymore, but it was the worst thing ever. Now, if we want to talk about rough, that was rough. That's something that was... that was something that was not enjoyable. The tunnel is awful, especially in the back row. I personally think the tunnel is the best part of the ride, as long as it doesn't have the bump in it like it did that one year. Because I think I like just hearing everyone's screams amplified when you go in the tunnel. Thunderation's chain lift is so loud. It is a very loud chain lift. To be honest, I would not be heartbroken if Thunderation got the axe and in favor for a better roller coaster. That's me, but... Does Outlaw Run have any potholes? Not that I know of. I mean, I got a piece of track that maintenance gave me a few years ago. It's sitting over here, kind of buried. I don't know, does it look like it has potholes? I mean, this is kind of a ruined track, and that's why they replaced it, so... But yeah, that's a piece of RMC track right there. In case you were wondering what it looked like up close. Right there. This one piece is literally like... probably 15 pounds or so. It's a lot heavier than you would think. What coaster would I want to replace Thunderation? There's no talks of Thunderation going anywhere, but if it does go somewhere and they decide to replace it, that's very tough, because I personally love Mystery Mine, and I think, like, something along the lines of Mystery Mine would be really awesome, but obviously smoother. Get, like, the Infinity Coaster model from Gerstlauer. Make it smooth, get lap bars, stuff like that. And it would be awesome, and give it like that Mystery Mine similar style theming. I would absolutely love that. Because I love me some Mystery Mine. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love it. But like I said, if you do it right and make it a nice smooth experience, more people would like it. Have some indoor sections and then obviously outdoor sections. And I would love it 2 pieces. I think it'd be a really, really cool ride. Oh, I need to split this from the building and add it to the building I'm currently on. There we go. Boom! Because, you know, I like to recycle some stuff. Will Outlaw Run get the iBox track within the next few years? I mean, it's always possible because with Lightning Rod getting it, and it would be a lot easier for maintenance-wise. Trust me, I work with the maintenance crew there. They would definitely like the iBox track more. I mean, they replace track every single off-season, so I could see it happen within the next few years. I don't think so. I don't think it would be anytime soon. Maybe within 5 years. Maybe. Because the one point that RMC sold on was that it was going to be very smooth. And it was for the very first year. After the second year or so, the ride did get some bumps on the road, and I still wouldn't consider it a rough ride to this day. It's obviously not as smooth as it was opening year. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, anyone can see that. But, you know, if they were to do the iBox treatment, I definitely would say SDC needs to get a classic wood coaster at some point, like a GCI or something, because I mean, I still don't know why SDC doesn't have a classic wooden coaster. It would make sense at that park. Why is there not a classic wood coaster at SDC? Why is Outlaw Run the first wooden coaster there? But I could see it happen. I don't think it's going to happen any time, like, super soon. So. But I could see it happening. Definitely could see it happen. You connect to that and you're gonna like it. This is the crazy pathing we do just to fill all this in. But of course with that we're gonna need some curbs, so guests don't walk through those, because that is important. Outlaw could be too fast with the iBox track. It would have to be extended to drain off some momentum before the final invert. I don't know. You think it would actually run that much faster? Because the ride has been significantly slower since it originally opened. And I only know that because we, as operators, get to see the times on every cycle. So we can see how fast it ran from the drop to the brake run. And the drop to the brake run is the time that we get. So like the drop to the brake run, a normal time is around 37 to 38 seconds for Outlaw Run cycle. Opening year, it used to run at like 34 seconds. The fastest we've ever ridden or gotten it in recent years, I think, is like 35. Which now is kind of like an overspeed, causes an overspeed fault, so kind of weird. So it could definitely handle faster speeds because, well, it's run faster before, but the question is how much faster would it run? It would probably get back to that 30, 34 range. You know, maybe. Powder keg or wildfire? I'm guessing you're asking which one do I prefer. I would say wildfire. They're very, very, very much neck and neck. I kind of sometimes go back and forth between the two. But overall, I think I would say wildfire. Powder keg is very underrated, I think, when it comes to its airtime. You get some crazy floater airtime on some of those first hills on powder keg. Like, you're just levitating out of your seat. You're floating out of that seat on those first two hills on powder keg. At the top of the first launch hill, and then going on to that second hill, you're just levitating out of your seat. Especially if they don't staple you, which chances are they will because that's how that team is. But not saying anything, you know, just saying you most likely are going to get stapled on that ride. But I've gotten to ride it where I had a little bit of space before, and it's got some pretty strong floater airtime on those first few hills. And then the rest of the ride, you don't really get much airtime at all, so not even on the last drop or anything. Okay, there's that. Let's go deeper. Wildfire was so smooth at the start of the year. It had some rough patches, but this year it did not feel like the same ride. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm getting caught up on a group chat here because I asked you earlier, but you didn't answer, so I'll ask you now. Will you upload this part? I did actually answer that, but you may have not heard. But yes, I will. It might have been someone else that asked that, but I'm not sure. But yes, I will. It is, of course, going to be on the workshop. I wouldn't see the purpose of me building this for 5 years and not share it with the world. That would just be mean of me, in my opinion. All right. Sorry for that. Oh, I need to get this back up. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Okay. Moving on to the next. Oh, no. Gosh, dang it. Pause. Getting these videos, and then that is going to connect with that. Alright, let me go back here. There's a gate right there. And that's where the famous "don't look in this hole" sign is. Which, don't look in the hole. I mean, that's just, you gotta listen to it. Don't look in the hole. Boop, boop, boop. move this around a bit. Ooh. Okay, so that has some backstage areas in it behind all these shops and stuff for where this big old gate is going to be. And that leads us to another building, which is kind of like a... It's going to go right here for like a break room-ish. It's kind of like a break room for employees almost. In a way. Alright, so let's go ahead and place that there. I'm going to split this from the building, and then we will that, rotate this. I'm going to put about halfway or so. We're going to recolor you to that blue. After Fire in the Hole, what ride do you think they would redo? I think the first one they would redo after that is probably Flooded Mine, or just completely demolish it, you know. What's up, Variety? How's it going? I think that's definitely what they would do. I would definitely think that the ride that I was just talking about, Flooded Mine, would go next. Because to me, that makes the most sense. That one would make the most sense. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Alright, so we're going to start to shape up some of these buildings. Over here. Said yay, another one. What are we talking about? Another what? I think this is actually more angled. So do you think the Fire in the Hole remake rumor is true, assuming you don't know anything from working there? Yeah, so we were talking about a little while ago that the manufacturer is said to be RMC now. Apparently they won the bidding war. So it looks like RMC is the guy to build Fire in the Hole 2.0. That is what I've heard from maintenance. That they just won the bidding war. Because they had the lowest bid. Said, hey, we can do it for this amount of money. So apparently that's what's going to happen. Because I think RMC did retract Blazing Fury at one point, so they kind of have an idea, I guess you could say, working on a similar ride, so definitely could be thing. Oh, we're in an autosave again. Was Fire in the Hole a drop tower? No, it is a indoor dark ride that is considered a roller coaster. Because it has a few drops on it and everything. Built in 1972. It's technically Sword Art City's first roller coaster, so that they ever built. STC didn't really build roller coasters until like the mid to late 90s, until they actually started building coasters in the park. Because really, Fire in the Hole was the only coaster in the park up until I mean, unless you count away the kiddie coaster, which that's actually kind of unknown when that was built. Unless you kind of, and then the next one was like Thunderation in 1993. So they went from 1972 to 1993, pretty much, for coasters. And then 1999 is when they built Buzzsaw Falls, which didn't last long. And 2001 they built Wildfire. And then in 2000, after 2003, they closed Buzzsaw Falls and converted it into Powder Keg for the 2005 season. And then they didn't have a roller coaster again until 2013, which was Outlaw Run. I guess in 2006 they opened Grand Expo with Grand Expo coaster, but you know, that's a kiddie coaster, so doesn't really count. And then, of course, now we have Time Traveler in 2018. RMC retracked the second and third drops on Blazing Fury this year, but the first drop is still rough. Oh, gotcha. So they only did a partial retrack of it. Oh, I think it's the... Yeah, it's done. Okay. Making sure that save was done. As you can see, we're gonna start working our way back here for Midtown. Eventually, we'll get this all done. Eventually. Will it take a while? Probably. Alright, let's see if I can get the front of this building a little bit. Oh, okay, so that doesn't go around there like I was thinking. So I'm gonna have to redo that. Split you from the building, and we're gonna make you diagonal. Like you are supposed to be. And then technically it kind of goes back to normal over here. See if we can turn down the sides here, if that will do that. And then maybe we can adjust this to where it can fit properly. Maybe. And we can fill in those gaps too, as needed. We can just use the pillar from the haunted house. Color it. Slap it on in there and call it good. That way we are nice and uniform. Bum bum bum. Alright, and so this is where the tree house is going to be, where, well, the old tree house, which has now been removed, technically, so. Bum bum bum. Do do. Alright, so now kind of getting the shaping of this building first and foremost. Okay, so that, let's go back here to right there. Does that connect into that building? I think it does. There's a shot right there. Okay, so I can see. I think it indents into it a little bit. All right. I don't want to go too far this way. So what we can do, because we want to make sure this is in the correct angle, because we want this more lined up with the path. bit. It's okay if we go over the path a little bit. I just watched the first episode in the series, which is nearing its 5-year anniversary. Kudos with me is sticking with it. Yeah, I could have gave up on this a long time ago, but, you know, I decided at one point to continue it, and then just kind of committed, and I'm hoping to get done with it someday. You know, I wanna finish it up one day. One day. Am I gonna get it anytime soon? Probably not. It will probably still be, knowing my luck, another year or two, but I hope not. I hope I kind of get to a point where it doesn't take that long. I hope it, like, maybe by sometime next year or something. That's what I want to do. That would be nice. But maybe since, again, I'm working on it more consistently now and not taking like months without working on it, which did tend to happen a lot. I would just go a long time without working on it, and which sucked. But now I'm working on it every single week, even if it's for a little bit each time. You know, I'm still working on it regardless. So. Alright, we want something with the same angle here. Bam, bam. Fortunately, it hasn't opened over a... Lucky to have lightning rod only 45 minutes away while I'm at college. Fortunately, it hasn't operated in over a week, and the description on the Dollywood app now just says temporarily closed. Please enjoy another Dollywood's world-class attraction. Port ride, can't catch a break. I still find it hilarious that I have... Every time I've gone there, it's operated perfectly. Maybe I'm just lucky, I don't know, but I've never, every time I've been there, it's ran just fine. Again, I'm probably just lucky, but like, it had little to zero downtime every time I go there. Let's see, I'm over like 10 and a half hours away from the ride, so I don't get to get out there anymore. I usually go around 1 to 2 times a year to Dollywood because I get in free and it's usually a pretty cheap trip, so I do go quite often and try to go at least once, but I'm gonna rotate this way so it fits in better. I might change the color of this to more of a white, closer to white. Yeah, like that. That is much closer. Mystery Mine is such a weird ride, but I love it. I love me Mystery Mine. Don't whistle in the Mystery Mine, for danger you will meet. And though your toes may moan and whine, leave your shoes upon your feet in the misty mystery mine. And if a bird should fly inside, you best get out in haste, or find a place where you can hide, as the mine is laid to waste in the misty mystery mine. Don't bring a four-leaf clover here, don't bring a rabbit's foot, for when the day is over here, you'll find your goose is cooked. So listen, boys, to all these rules, and believe me when I say, don't listen in the mystery mine, and you'll survive this day in the misty mystery mine. In the misty mystery mine. In the misty mystery mine. Every time I go there with a group, they always like get annoyed by me because I'm singing along every time I hear that theme play. They just kind of roll their eyes. It's funny. Good singing. Thanks. I try. I really do. Ah, ha, 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 ha. It's one of those rides where the theming makes it, plus the second half is surprisingly large thrill. Makes me excited for more Eurofighters. Yeah, it's the only Eurofighter I've actually been on. So it was my first and only one I've been on, so, which I guess that would make sense, but yeah, it's the theming and the last part of the ride, that last drop with the roll, the double roll at the end, is just so good. It's actually really good, and it's nice and smooth in that spot too. So, wait, did that not like copy my piece over? Why would it do that to me? Oh, maybe it did, and it's just on the inside now. Yep, there it is. I just couldn't see it. That's okay. All I need is one piece. That's all we need. One piece of the puzzle. Do I get into all the Herschend properties? As far as I know, yes. All the main properties that I get into, I get in for free. So, like, Dollywood, I get in free. Wild Adventures, I get in free. I'm not sure about Kentucky Kingdom. I would have to call, because it's not actually on our list. I'm sure we do get in there for free, but I'm not sure. Because, again, it doesn't appear on our benefits list that they give us each year. It had already been announced that they bought it too, so I'm not sure. Kind of an interesting thing. I also get into some random ones too, kind of random. Six Flags St. Louis and Worlds of Fun I get in free. I get into Holiday World for free, which is one of my favorite ones that I get in for free, so... I have not been to Wild Adventures now, but funny story, I waited to ride Mystery Mine for 45 minutes only for it to break right when I was out of the station, so we got a free fast passes, so we got to skip a 2-hour line for Lightning Rod. Hey, that's pretty good. But yeah, I haven't been to Wild Adventures. Kentucky Kingdom was just added to the chain this year, so it might be weird. I've been to Kentucky Kingdom. It's a cute little park. See, I do want to try and go to Kentucky Kingdom. Probably won't be till next year, though. Probably won't be till next season. Bum 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 bum. I really do like this door right here, and really want to keep it that color, but unfortunately I can't because that's not the color that we need. Which makes me a little bit sad. Oh, I'm going the wrong way for that. Okay, so there is... Stop right there. That's good enough. Alright, we got 2 windows right here. I made this a little big, but I needed to on purpose, so we can kind of get back over here in the proper way. Ridden bulls run, don't be slow, on a mountain, fire in a hole. Yeah, I'd definitely like to check out Storm Chaser. Went to Kentucky in the summer. It was kind of a bad experience because the operations were atrocious, like 4 to 5 minute dispatches in one train, but the rides were fun. I can understand the one train part, but that's some pretty long dispatches. Because working at SDC, yeah, we have one train every day too, on like all the rides. There ain't no getting 2 trains, even when we're scheduled. Like Outlaw Run, so the last 2 Saturdays we've been scheduled for 2 trains, but you know why we can't do it? We don't have enough staff. We had like 2 or 3 unassigned shifts that day because we don't have the staff to fill those said shifts. So yeah, we had to drop a train on both days. Not drop, we never had it because of that, but we had to tell maintenance, hey, we're only getting 1 train because we cannot operate with 2 because we don't have the staff to operate 2. They even dropped how many people we need for 2 trains this year. So we needed 5 staff members for 2 trains. Now they dropped it to 4. And we still don't have enough staff to do that. Which is hilarious. And I really hate the having 4 because I think it really does need to be 5. Like, I hate operating Outlaw Run with 2 trains with only 4 people. The 5 made it so much easier. Because if you're on load side, if you're working load side, and you're all by yourself on load side, the workload is way too high for 2 trains. Especially when we were doing like COVID procedures and stuff, because we also had to group at the same time. It was a nightmare. Because you would have no time to group, and then you would also have to check restraints, and you would also have to give everyone hand sanitizer, which was I don't even want to talk about the hand sanitizer. They made us give everybody the worst smelling hand sanitizer throughout the entirety of last year. It was horrible. I don't even want to talk about it, how bad that was. I felt bad for giving people that hand sanitizer. It's so bad. It was like probably the worst. Dollywood's been full capacity on coasters every time I've been there. So Lightning Rod, I've actually seen their manual because one of my supervisors has shown me the manual. They have to have 5 people run their ride, even if it's 1 train, 1 or 2 trains. They have to have 5. So their staffing for 1 and 2 trains is the same. And the reason why they have to have 5 is because every single person has a dispatch enable button. There's a button at every single spot. So there has to be 4 people on dock and 1 operator at all times. Otherwise, they can't dispatch trains. So Outlaw Run only has 1 dispatch enable button. So you only need 1 on that side. So, but Lightning Rod has 4. So all those buttons have to be pushed. So they can run 1 or 2 trains whenever they need to, because their minimum staffing is 5 for both. I can still smell the hand sanitizer, and it's been under a year since I've been there. It was the worst hands. I think SDC literally bought the cheapest hand sanitizer they could, and it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And when there'd be people denying it, and we couldn't force people to take it. Like, we were supposed to give it to them, offer it to them, and if they said, no, I don't want any, we wouldn't force it to them, and then we would have to sanitize their seat if they didn't take it, you know? So, really dumb. It was awful. It was the kind of the worst smelling stuff I've ever smelled before in my life. And there was actually some point where we actually got some good stuff that didn't smell bad, and, like, they had it for a small amount of time, and when I went to go get some more, and they had the good stuff that actually didn't smell bad, I grabbed like 5 of them, and to make it last, I like grabbed as many as I could. That way it would be good for a while. So sorry for the other rides didn't get them, but because it was funny, because I would have like the good smelling stuff, and all the guests were like, "Wow, all the other rides have the crappy stuff," and I was like, I was thinking smart there. I was like, yeah, but not here at Outlaw. We have the good smelling stuff. I was like, because I was actually telling that to guests one time. I was like, yeah, they had the good stuff up there for like one night, and I just grabbed as many as I could. So there we go. Not that it lasted very long, because obviously we have to give hand sanitizer to every single person. When our supervisor came down and said, "Oh, we're stopping that starting tomorrow," I was like, "Hallelujah!" I hated the hand sanitizer thing. We were the only park that did that. I mean, Dollywood did it too, because obviously they're owned by the same company. But I'm sure Wild Adventures probably did as well. But it was a pretty crappy time. Because, again, we had to separate people on the train. We had to group every cycle. Sometimes I would just hang up the chains every other row. I would just hang the chains up. That way we didn't have to group. Because it was just so much of a workload for that load person. Because, again, that loader on Outlaw had to... so this is how it happened. In between cycles, you're giving everyone hand sanitizer. You gotta give them hand sanitizer before they open the gates. Gates open. Alright. And then you would have to group up the next ones, and everyone's getting on the ride. So this is already slowing down operations, because you can't check restraints at the same time. You gotta group everyone else up. This is if we were running 2 trains. And then you go back. Restraints are locked. Lock them in. You're also responsible for getting trailblazers through the gate as well. So if we had a ton of trailblazers, we'd have to let them in. So loader had to do all this by themselves. One person by themselves doing this entire time. So if we had trailblazers, they wouldn't have time to get all the hand sanitizer. So they'd let the trailblazers in. Go down the line, hand sanitizer. Then we could open the gates. Like, it would waste so much time. And 2 trains sucked because we would be stacking and the other train would be sitting forever. And it was absolutely horrible. And it just was inefficient. And I hope we don't ever have to do that again, because that was dreadful. And then we had to sanitize the trains every hour, so we'd have to stop operations, spray them down. We'd send a cycle around. Instead of drying it off like with a rag, we would just send it around to dry it off. So I'm that nerdy person who would want to read the ride manuals when I go into work. I actually have a Outlaw Run manual just sitting around here somewhere. It's one of the old ones from like 2014, I think. It was a 2014 one. They haven't changed too much. I mean, it's changed. It changes every year. But, yeah. It was funny. My supervisor was like, "Do you want a lightning rod manual?" And I was like, yeah. He didn't actually give it to me, though. But he has one sitting in his desk. Because when they were making changes to Outlaw Run's manual, they were looking at stuff in Lightning Rod's manual to see if there was anything they could use from it to help update the Outlaw Run one. So, because there's like some pictures and stuff and diagrams that were a lot better in the Lightning Rod one. So, I will say we do operate kind of differently between Outlaw Run and Lightning Rod. Because I'm that nerdy person, being a ride operator, I'm very nosy on other parks' operations. So, like, when I'm riding a ride, I do watch to see how they check restraints, what they do, and all that fun stuff. Their thumb sequences, Do they yell clear? Do they, all that fun stuff. Lightning rod checks restraints a lot weirder, and I remember one of our supervisors bringing it up and saying that we might try the way they do it, and I totally shut it down and said, no, I don't want to operate that way. That just doesn't sound right. It just doesn't work for our ride, and it works for lightning rod, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So for us, say we're checking the train. I'm using this as an example. They get in, we have seatbelts. We visually check seatbelts. We don't physically check seatbelts. Lightning rod does. So I'm surprised that we haven't switched to that. But we go down the line making sure everyone has their seatbelt on. That's the first thing we do. So this is kind of like training for you guys, by the way, if you ever want to work at Outlaw. So we check those seatbelts visually, making sure they get them clicked. You'll know when they're not latched or not. So you can visually check those. So if there's some that you're unsure if they got checked, pull the lap bar up, make sure they got it, and all that fun stuff. So buckle those seatbelts, and after we're done visually checking the seatbelts, we go to the front. Operator will lock the bars, and then we have to stay in tandem with the person across from us. So if you're on load, you're checking the load side of the restraints. If you're on the unload, you're checking the unload side of the restraints, and you have to stay together. So if I get ahead, I have to wait for you to catch up with me. So you can imagine if you have like a slower worker, you have to work their speed, which sucks. I always try to do my best to push them to go faster, but we have to stay in tandem. And that rule came into effect a few years ago. That is to ensure that nobody misses checking a restraint. So if I missed a restraint, they can notice like, hey, you didn't check that restraint. It's kind of like a double check, if that makes sense. But we'll check all the way down, and if we go to the dock here, I actually made it in game. There's a little dispatch enable button here at the unload side. The loader over here doesn't have a button. Again, this is only if we're running one train. If we have one train, we have one loader, one unloader, and an operator. If we have two trains, we have one loader, two unloaders, and an operator. Used to, we had two loaders, but they got rid of that. And I'm going to try and beg for them to bring that fifth person back because the loader has way too much of a workload. So thumb sequence starts here at load side, then it goes to unload, and then operator. As soon as the unloader puts his thumb up, he'll push the dispatch enable button. The operator will push theirs, dispatching the train, and we keep our thumbs up until the back of the train clears the dock. We don't yell clear. A lot of parks do. Most parks yell clear. We give eye contact with each other. I usually tell everyone to do kind of a scan to make sure there's no guests on the dock, and you do eye contact, thumbs up, and then we're good to go. You just subscribe? Well, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it. Always thought a ride operator would be an interesting job. Lightning rods restraint checks are so slow, but that's just an RMC thing. They aren't super high capacity rides. So I noticed that Lightning Rod has 4 dispatch enable buttons. Outlaw Run only has 1 on the unload side. Therefore, they always have to have 4 people on the dock and then an operator, making 5. But they have 4, so 1 up here. So if this was Lightning Rod's dock, they would have 1 on the back sides here, and their other 2 are at the front here. So if, say, you had, again, they have 4 people, you're going to want those 4 people to be down at the ends here to push their dispatch enable buttons. So the way they check their restraints, I've noticed, is they start from the middle. And if they're working on the front, they go from back to front. If they're on the back side, they'll go from front to back. So they go to the middle, and this person starts checking from back to front. This person goes from front to back. That way, when they're done checking, they're at their buttons. That's why that works, because they have their dispatch enable buttons. If they did it normally, they would check all the way through the third car if you're in the front, and they would have to walk all the way back to the front. The way they do it is they check going all the way to the front, and then they're already at the button. It saves a few seconds. They suggested that at Outlaw Run, And I said, it doesn't work that way on ours because we only have the one dispatch button. So it really wouldn't make sense, because we would be kind of the opposite. If we did back to front on the front car, we would have to walk back to the middle, because this person over here, I'll show you on the dock here, where the train sets, this person is responsible for watching this exit gate. This gate does not lock. They have to watch that gate. So they can't be up here dispatching the train because they will not be able to see the exit gate. So if like a kid ran into the dock while the train's moving, we don't want that happening. So if we were to check that the way that, we would have to go back there. So I completely shut that idea down when they brought it up a few years ago, because I'm like, it works for lightning rod, not for this ride. It's definitely built different. But it must definitely suck for lightning rod because they have to have 5 people staffed, even on a slow day. You know, we can have all the way down to 3 people because we only have that one dispatch enable button. So it's really easy for us because we can get through breaks faster when we have less staff there. So if we only have a 1 train day and there's only 4, we would be 4 of us because we have someone that starts the rotation and someone goes on break, 3 on dock, and then 1's on break, and then when they come back we rotate. So you only have to get through 4 breaks, so a lot easier. Wish we could customize our employees and give them funny hats, cool outfits and stuff. That would be cool if we could customize the operators and stuff. I wish we had physical ride operators that would check restraints. That would be kind of a cool little thing. Not something that's required, but I think it would be a nice little detail in there. It'd be kind of cool. And treat them as if they were an employee where you have to pay them and stuff. Quick question. Have you built American Plunge? I have. It still needs a lot of work, but I have built it. Because it's not fully done. Like the end part here, I haven't really done much. Or the station building, I haven't done much. But we have built a bit of it. a good chunk, I would say. Let's go to seat view. We got, yeah, I used the time machine here for when you're in the tunnel, which is nice. Ever get tired of the audio of Outlaw Run? Yes, I do. I have to say I do. Especially the Outlaw Run announcer, the lady that does the announcement. The opening year, 2013, it had a really cool cowboy sounding guy that sounded really cool, but they had to change it because they added the seatbelts. So they didn't get the same guy back. They got some annoying lady to do it. I don't like her voice. It's just annoying to me. How's my day going? It's going alright. I went and saw Venom 2 before streaming today. That was really fun. Not gonna talk about spoilers there, but splash. American Plunge. I need to fix that that terrain going through there. Haven't messed with it yet. Plunge needs a lot of love. It does. Oh yeah, that post-credit scene. I actually predicted that post-credit scene. I was actually thinking about it. Like, I bet that's what the post-credit scene's gonna be about. Again, I'm not gonna spoil anything in case someone hasn't seen it, but but it was crazy. Of course, we got wildfire. Oh yeah, I remember we fixed the trim brakes to make it look like just a normal or short brake now, which is nice. Well, do I think they will redo American Plunge? I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think Flooded Mine would be the next one they would do. There's no rumors yet of what's next. I know Fire in the Hole is for sure the next one. So we don't know what's going to be after Fire in the Hole. just yet. So that is currently a mystery. We don't know that far in yet. Do you ever rotate to other rides, or does everyone stay at the assigned rides? Everyone has their assigned rides at SDC, but we do get cross-trained at other rides just in case we need to go over and help out. For instance, if you're in leadership like me, you don't typically get cross-trained that often. You usually stay at your ride to lead the ride, but they do still get cross-trained. Like, for instance, I actually got cross-trained at Powder Keg this year, so I do operate Powder Keg and Outlaw Run. Outlaw Run's my home ride, obviously, but once in a while I'll go over to Powder Keg and help out if they're understaffed, or say if we have an extra and Powder Keg had a call-in or something. We can do that. So a couple of us are signed off at Outlaw, or signed off at Wildfire as well. So yeah, I've only been signed off at 3 rides at SDC. I've only operated Outlaw Run, I've operated Powder Keg, and I've operated Time Traveler when it opened. Because in 2018, I actually was at Time Traveler. That was my home ride for 2018, was Time Traveler. Which was a really fun experience to open this ride. It was awesome. Of course, I got to ride it a full month before it even opened, which was awesome. And got to see them kind of finish the ride as before it opened too. Of course, we got the custom audio that plays there, the soundtrack, and we got all the audio cues too. And do good. Dream big and do good. That's like the motto at Time Traveler. Gosh, what was going on with that clock? Oh, it was getting to the next day, that's why. Outlaw Run and Time Traveler are tied for my fave. I definitely think Outlaw's my favorite, and Time Traveler's at second for me in the park. I love the custom audio that I did for the lift hills. So tell me about 3 trains on Time Traveler. Oh, I will. So the reason Time Traveler never runs 3 trains, and probably will never run 3 trains again, are a couple of reasons. Reason number 1, it doesn't make a difference on capacity if we're running 2 trains or 3 trains. The way this ride was designed was supposed to run 3 trains. However, the ride is too short. There's so many design flaws. Mock Rides did not do a really good job of designing this for 3 trains, in my opinion. So basically, when we ran 3 trains, I'll tell you, there's more reasons why it doesn't run 3 trains. So I have currently 3 trains running right now, but that's how it was intended, but it doesn't happen in real life. But so basically, obviously, you need to understand block sections and how block sections work on rides. So obviously, the block sections on Time Traveler are as follows. So you have the drop and the first launch. After we clear the first launch, the next train can be dispatched. After that point, so that is block number 1. The drop through the launch to the launch number 1. And then the next block section is after the launch to launch number 2. Yeah, we could do the El Toro Ryan. If for those unfamiliar, a block zone is, I need to get that T-shirt. I've seen that T-shirt a few times. Yeah, I should totally play that entire audio for any time we need to explain a block zone. But anyways, and then the next one is the last turn into the brakes here. So when we open, there's 3 trains, one in the station, one on the unload station. In case you didn't know, Time Traveler has an unload station where they can unload and a load station where they load. So they can unload here and load in here. That was so flawed the way that was built. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. So with 3 trains, you have one in the station, one on the unload station, and one on the final brake run here for when you start. When you dispatch the first train with people on it, say we're starting the day, we're dispatching the first train, we bring the second train in, and that train starts to load. So there you have a train going out on the track here. You have one being loaded in the station, and the other one is still on this final brake run. So we bring this train in, they're already starting the loading process, all right? They're starting that loading process. This train has to traverse around this turn right here, all the way around into the unload station. Now here is where the issues start. By time that stops, they're pretty much already loaded on here. They're about ready to dispatch this train, and I'll tell you why that's an issue. So again, you have a train going through the track right now. They're about to dispatch here, and we're just now unloading right here. The people put their loose articles in the station, right? They put their loose articles in there. The cubbies are open on both sides. Therefore, when they get off, they're expected to go through this gate on the unload station. They're expected to go out here and come back in through this way and grab their items from the other side. So it's open on both sides. However, when guests get off on the unload station, they want to walk straight in on here because, oh, my stuff's in there, you know? That's what they want to do because there's an opening right here where you can just walk into the station. So when guests got off here, they want to walk into the station. Well, this train is literally being dispatched like at that second when people like, oh, I got to get my stuff. So people would want to walk in here while there's a moving train in here. That's a big no-no. That's a safety violation, okay? We couldn't have that. So for the longest time, the operator sitting at unload station, as soon as this train would stop, would sprint down. We'd literally sprint down, stand right here, and make sure everyone goes through that gate. We would just like, we would like sprint down there and be like, through the gate, guys. Well, my stuff's in there. My stuff's in. No, you can get it on the other side. You know, we have to literally explain to people. And here's the problem. This train's probably already dispatched at that point, all right? This train's already being dispatched. The other train is probably already sitting here on the brake run, okay? It's waiting to be advanced. So this train's already dispatched and going through the course, while this one's on the final brake run. And that's an issue because when we come to block zones, if this train gets to the second launch and this train is still on that final brake run, it's going to stop on the second launch and we have to shut down. We can't just restart it. We have to get maintenance. We have to shut the ride down before we can restart it. So anyways, and why didn't they put a gate? And I will answer that in just a moment. That's a good question. A lot of people do ask that. Why didn't they put a gate there? But I'm going to answer why they couldn't here in a sec. But anyways, we're still trying to get people out of this gate because they're arguing with us that they want to get their stuff, and we have to get them off the dock before we can move this in. They're waiting for us to pull that other train in. Again, this is where the flaw is. This long piece of track going around takes way too long because they're going to dispatch this train, and this train still can't be pulled in, which means this train can't be coming around either because, well, this train's occupying. So if this train hits the second launch while this train still hasn't moved far up enough forward, it's going to stop on the second launch and we shut down. That happened multiple times while we were running 3 trains because we could not physically get this train in quick enough into the load station because they were already dispatching while this train was still unloading. And the reason why that is because this takes too long to come around and get into the unload station. We have to wait a good 20 to 30 seconds while this train's already loading people up. So the load station would always dispatch a lot faster than what we could get the second train in, okay? So that was issue number 1, is that the ride cycle was just too short. If the ride cycle was longer, it would not be that big an issue at that point. But since the ride cycle is not very long, it does not last long enough for that to work. We often could not get this train moved in time before that block section would hit, and it would get stopped on the second launch. So, your question, why don't they just put a gate here? Oftentimes, most of it didn't happen very often, but those gondolas, as they were called, would sometimes not realign themselves properly, and the trains would come in sideways. When the trains come in sideways, they are a lot wider when coming in onto the dock. So if you put a gate there, it would actually come in contact with that gate. If there was a gate sitting right there, and the trains came in sideways, it would hit that gate. So there was no way you could put a gate there because it would actually hit the cars if they came in unaligned, which was also a big problem. They did ponder the idea of putting in a gate that could like open and close, but then again, you'd have guests just walking through it at that point, so it just didn't really make sense. And it was just kind of a flawed design, if you will. And there wasn't really a good idea with that. So the combination of that issue and that issue of the guests trying to run in there, and another issue they had is spare parts. They didn't have enough parts if there was an issue with one of the trains, and they started using that third train as a spare part train, pretty much. They'd use parts from the third train just to keep the other two running. So sometimes they'd have to spin the trains back to normal position manually. Yes, so there was a gondola reposition button for whoever was on load dispatch. There was two buttons here, so these two buttons would have to be pushed with the operator. So there was a gondola reposition button here. If you push and hold it, the train would automatically reposition it. But we had glitches in the first year where that didn't always work. It wouldn't actually do it. So sometimes you would have to go in there and rotate it back to the normal position, and you could feel it locked in when it got into the right position. It would go. So sometimes we'd have to go in there and spin guests around until we got into the right position. It was actually kind of funny when that would happen. So, but yeah, so that's the main reason why they don't run 3 trains. Fun fact. Opening day of Time Traveler, we only had 2 trains available. We only ran 2 trains that first day. In fact, for that entire first season, we ran 3 trains maybe 6 times for the entire season. And that was about it. And when we ran 3 trains, we usually didn't have 3 trains for the full day. We would have some issue and they would have to pull a train off. However, I will say working unload station was one of the most fun things ever. I absolutely loved working at this spot, and I'm kind of sad because they don't use the unload station unless we ran 3 trains. It just doesn't make sense for 2 trains, so they never use the unload station anymore. They did try using it with 2 trains, but it just didn't make any logic. Didn't really make any sense to use, because with 2 trains, you dispatch a train, bring the train in. If you use the unload station, it didn't make a difference, because it didn't save any time. It actually cost us time, because they're unloading here, and instead of continuing into the station, they would have to unload here, and then we would all have to push our buttons to bring the train in, and then you start loading again. So it actually cost us more time to use it with 2 trains. If three trains would have made sense if it didn't have to traverse this big turn right here. If they could stop a train right here, right behind right here, and the train moves in, and then this train moves in, and you're loading and unloading at the exact same time, kind of like Millennium Force. Like, I think Millennium Force does it kind of correctly, where, if that makes sense, because I think it can actually stop right behind it. So why didn't they just make it a moving loading station? I don't know, because I think it would take too long. And with the way that was a whole nother issue, was the restraints themselves. This was the first time I think Mach ever used the self-checking restraints, which were a cool idea, but definitely wasn't great for if you had to let a guest off, because they would have to rebuild pressure, and instead of just rechecking it manually, it would take upwards to 1.5 minutes to recheck that seat, those rows again, or those cars. So it just wouldn't, you probably wouldn't work very well. I'll just say that. But yeah, since this has to go from the final brake run and move all the way over here, this train's already dispatching by time this train's starting to unload. So it just, it was a mess. It just did not work properly. I don't think the design was very well executed when it came to that. And that's kind of Mach Rides' fault, in my opinion. Mach did not design that very well. So, and again, when we ran 3 trains, it did not really increase our capacity from 2 trains. 2 trains and 3 trains, we got about the same amount of numbers, like legit, because we just would stack, because the ride cycle was just too fast. The ride track length is only like 3,000 feet, so I don't think the ride had any business doing 3 trains, because the ride just isn't long enough. It's not a long enough ride. If the ride actually had a longer track length and it lasted longer, I definitely would say yes, have 3 trains, but it just, the ride cycle's way too short for this. I think they stated, I think the ride fax was 1:57 ride time, but to be honest, I think I timed it once and it's not even close to that. It's more like 1.5 minute ride overall. It's definitely not like 1:57 or something like that. It's really not. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, it's definitely not a 2-minute ride. But the idea I think Mach was going for is that the automatic restraints would make us work faster. They wanted us to have like 25-second dispatches. We would have to have like 25-second dispatches for it to work properly with 3 trains. Kind of. Again, the unload station just was kind of flawed the way it worked, so it just didn't make sense. So it was just a nightmare, and working at a new ride, they expect you to work they expect you to work flawlessly no matter what, and they expected us to hit 1,200 an hour. Good luck with that. I don't think anyone would have been able to do that. So, because at a new ride, the entire first season, you're just trying to figure out what's the best way to make it way more efficient. What's the best way to make this ride efficient? And throughout the year, you're coming up with new ideas. When we first got there to start it, the supervisors told us to try and come up with ideas, to make the operations better. You know, what can we do to make the operations more efficient? So we got to come up with ideas to kind of help out. But you know, I can't remember whose idea it was to run down and make people go through the gate. I can't remember if I started doing that, because I think I asked like, hey, am I allowed to leave that booth and direct people out the gate? Because that worked the best. And in the end, we actually they stayed up there, and the person at that unload dispatch, if they were dispatching a train, would stop people from coming in. And that's kind of what we settled on if we used it. So the person dispatching inside the station would watch and make sure no one comes in, saying, hey, you can't come this way. It's a safety issue if you do. Like, some guests just will not listen. Like, my stuff's right there. I have to have it. And I'm like, I understand that, and you can grab it, but you have to go that way. People just didn't understand that. And they'd be like, no, I have to go. It's right there. And it was a mess sometimes. It was just a mess. So if you're opening a new ride as a ride operator, it's definitely not for everybody. It's definitely can be stressful. Thankfully, I'd already opened Outlaw Run, so I worked at the opening year on Outlaw Run as well, so I already knew what to expect, and I was still excited for it. Are you ever required to take a ride ever so? Yes, so we have to do ride-throughs every 2 hours, so yes, we do ride the rides very often. I usually get to ride Outlaw Run 2 to 3 times a day, depending on who else is doing ride-throughs. There'll be times where I do 5, 6 ride-throughs a day. It just kind of depends. So every 2 hours, we have to ride the ride as an inspection. So we don't get to ride it for fun. We get to ride to make sure there's no weird sounds, that the tracks looks fine, no one's in the perimeter. We're just checking to make sure everything's running as usual. Are you ready to watch Coaster Studios documentary? Yes, I am. I think that comes out in 4 days, actually. I'm definitely going to purchase that and watch it. I can't wait for the RMC documentary. I'm actually in it. I'm in the trailer. There's a shot of Outlaw Run's train, and you see someone walking alongside the train. Those are my legs. That was me. I remember when Taylor came down and filmed that. He told me, he was like, hey, can you just walk up and down the train? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was me. I made it. I made it into the film. Even though it might not show my face it might. I don't know if they got any footage of me. But yeah, if you actually look at the trailer, and that shot of Outlaw Run's dock, and there's a guy. This is me. There's a guy walking up and down the train. That's me. And it's actually in the trailer on YouTube. So if you look at that trailer, I'm in the trailer. So so I made it into the documentary, guys. I wish I would have been in it more, but I think that's probably all I'm going to be in the trailer. So, unless he got more footage of the dock on Outlaw Run, because I remember he was there for a few days filming stuff for the documentary, and I think this was last season they came by. It was really cool because Coaster Studios was there, and Taylor was there, and all them. And they were riding that night, and actually we closed, and I actually allowed them to ride one extra time, even though the ride was already closed. I was just like, hey guys, I'll let you guys run around one more time. So I gave them an extra ride that night because I was at operator. Typically they're pretty mad if we go over closing too far. They'll start calling us like, are you guys done yet? Are you guys done yet? Have I ever talked to Taylor? I have talked to him, but I've never had a full conversation with him, I guess. I remember I think it was his first time ever visiting SDC. I remember he came for the first time, and I shouted him out. I was like, hey, what's up, Coaster Studios? He came up to me and shook my hand and everything, and I was just like, yeah, watch Coaster Studios. And then he came by to do this documentary as well, and I didn't really get to talk to him that much, but I did talk to him a little bit, but not like a full conversation or anything, which would be cool. Who exaggerate Outlaw Run's roughness and say it's Son of Beast tier roughness. Whoa. I would say it's still one of the smoothest wood coasters out there. I hate it when people say Outlaw Run's rough. I cannot stand it. It absolutely blows my mind that some coaster enthusiasts think that Outlaw Run is rough. Is it glass smooth? No. It's a wooden coaster. It just has that wooden coaster feel. It has that wooden coaster out of control feel, and it's not like a rough sensation. It's more like people say it's rough all the time, especially the GP. General public hate Outlaw Run for the most part. Most general public do not like Outlaw Run, and that's why it never has a line. So if you guys always wonder why Outlaw Run doesn't have a line, it's mostly because it's in the back of the park, and the GP hate it because they think it is one super rough ride because it's a wooden coaster. Most of the people that ride Outlaw Run don't even know what it is. They get on it, and they come back, and they're like, I was not expecting that. I didn't know it went upside down. I thought it was just a small wooden coaster. It's just crazy how much the GP hate Outlaw Run, it seems like. Because people come back and they're like, that was so rough. Oh my gosh, I got a headache. Or they come back so many people come back holding their necks. I have never experienced neck pain on this ride. And I would say Thunderation is worse than Outlaw Run, but I still don't even think Thunderation's that rough. I don't even think Thunderation's that rough. Either, you know. The GP love Lightning Rod, though, but Lightning Rod is a lot smoother. It's definitely a lot smoother, especially since the retrack with the iBox track. It's definitely a lot smoother as well. When the last time Outlaw Run had to use Overflow cattle pen. Oh, this overflow cattle. We haven't. The last time we used it was in 2019. We were not allowed to use it in 2020 because social distancing. They would not allow us to use it. 2019 was the last time we used it. So before COVID and everything, the last time we only used this about a couple times a year. Opening year, we used it a lot. The first year Outlaw was open. Remember, Outlaw Run was a smooth coast, so smooth its opening year. It was just as smooth as steel coasters its opening year. So a lot of GP loved the ride in the first year. But after a few years of wear and tear, the ride, I wouldn't say it's rough, but it's not like glass smooth anymore. It has that wooden coaster ricketiness, I guess you could say, that makes a wood coaster a wood coaster. It's more of that out of control feeling where you're like, I'm not sure if this thing's gonna stay together kind of feel. Yeah, Lightning Rod opened in 2016 and it barely ran, so we got to remember that. And it's already gotten the iBox treatment for half of the ride. I still think Thunderation's not that rough. Is it rougher than Outlaw? Yeah, but I still don't consider it rough either. That's just me. RIP the Topper track. It's not even on RMC's website anymore. Yeah, that's what I saw. I wouldn't say it's completely done with. Like, if a park really requested the Topper track, I'm sure RMC would build it for the right price. But they really want to push more of the other stuff, like the Raptor or their the Iron Horse track, the iBox track. I think they want to push those more because obviously they're smooth. Super smooth. When you finish this park, put it on the Steam community. I'm already going to. There's no reason for me to spend 5 years on this and not put it on the workshop and say, yeah, guys, I'm not going to share this with you. I only worked on it for 5 years, but I'm not going to share it. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Of course I'm going to share it. Of course I'm going to put it on the workshop. And trust me, I'm going to advertise the heck out of it. It's going to be on Facebook. It's going to be everywhere that you can find Planet Coaster. And who knows, maybe Frontier will notice it and actually, share it. Who knows? That'd be cool. It's going to have a lot of custom files and a lot of Theme Maker's Toolkit, so just be prepared for that when you do install and download it. And of course, you're going to want to get all the custom stuff on there too, like the custom sounds and stuff like that. I'm excited for when I do get this out to the public, so I might put out a beta one time. Again, if I get a lot of these areas filled out, at least, I might put like a beta build, I guess you could call it, or an alpha build, to where people can download it and then give me feedback on what could be fixed or what could use some improvements. And then we can get to more of the final product on it. So, but yeah, look at this. We're starting to build out into over here. This is great. It's a lot of dedication. To be fair, I should be already done with this. To be fair, I started it back in 2016, but I was off and on it for a long time. I would go sometimes half a year without even working on it. So now that we're working on it every week, I hope to get it done within this next year. So let's go over an overview of what we're working on and how much we still have left to do. So the last few weeks we have obviously been working on Midtown here. So after I get this more established on Midtown, we'll get all this kind of looking good. And I would say it'd only take maybe a few more weeks. We'll actually get Midtown done, at least to a more developed stage. 148 years in game. How are those guests not dead yet? I'm sure they're not all the same guests from the same year. But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get all this done in the next few weeks. Hopefully we'll get Midtown looking pretty snazzy, pretty good. I'm also gonna probably get this little corkscrew path detailed up. So after we get that done, I think we're gonna go head back to Mystic and Rivertown and polish all this up, get Mystic almost pretty much, or get Mystic done, and then run around over here, work on this road, And then, of course, we're going to go to Fireman's, work on Fireman's Landing for a while. So we're going to work on all this. This is where this is the most underdeveloped part of the park right now. I haven't really done much over here. So, yeah, we're going to finish up Mystic, do Rivertown, and then, obviously, Fireman's Landing, and then we'll work on the buildings coming around here. After we get these two, those sections that I just said done, the park is going to start really looking more complete, because you can see the big hole right here of all this that still needs to be built. Same over here. So that's going to make a huge difference when we get all that. And then I think I'll go back over to Expo, and we'll probably finish up Grand Expo alongside with the Culinary Craft School here. And then, of course, I need to finish up Echo Hollow, and Thunderation's lift. We'll probably do Thunderation's like custom supports last or something. So after we get all that, Expo's done, those are done, I'll probably work on the second half of the square over here, which won't be too much. There's not a whole lot over here, just a few buildings, the taffy shops right there. And then we have like the little petting zoo or area over here that will connect with this path over here. That will be an area that I actually haven't even started on, so we'll do that. And then we still have Wildfire 2. So there's a lot of areas where I just need to go back and just kind of finish. You know, we know what I mean. So that's what we need to do. That used to be a big. Oh yeah, the this tower used to be the water boggin, and they left the tower, but the slide got demolished. So that is what that used to be. That is what that used to be, but I wish they could let you customize the ride theme instead of having to use specific themes. Have I done fire spotters? Yes, I did. I haven't done any like scenery yet or anything about it. So over here is actually part of Darren's recreation. Darren's been doing a really awesome Fireman's Landing recreation, and I've just kind of used his kind of to get some inspiration to keep mine up. So his is at a very much smaller scale, as you can see here, and mine's at a much bigger scale because I kind of match Planet Coaster's largeness a little bit. Hey, yo, nerd, you getting hungry? I'm not really hungry now. I had a pizza buffet before I got home, so I'll be okay probably for the night. So if you want to get something, Jess, or make something, that's up to you. Whatever you want to do. I'm actually going to get off here in a minute. So, but, yeah, I think I'm going to head off. So, what are you wanting to eat, Jess? Since you're obviously hungry. You ever been to Beach Bend? No, I have not. I'm losing my voice because I've been talking so much. Make some sandwiches. All right. Do you have the gift shop interior for Outlaw? I did do a little bit. It's not perfect, and I don't think I did full details yet, but I did start on it a little bit in here. I'm not doing too many interiors though. So I know that much. How many subscribers do you have to have on an iPad or iPhone to live stream? I don't think it matters how many you have to live stream. I think you live stream no matter what. I think you can always, I don't think you have to have it. I think you can just live stream. I don't think you need a certain amount. Now, to monetize and make money from ad revenue, you have to have at least 1,000 subs to do any of that, so. So to monetize stuff, you have to have at least 1,000. Just to monetize your videos. Am I getting a cold? No, I'm not sick. I just have been really congested. I haven't had a fever or anything. I haven't felt terrible. I've just had a lot of congestion, so it might just be allergies or something. I'm not sure. 1,000 subscribers on iOS to live stream. See, I don't know anything about iOS, so you can live stream on a computer at any time, any sub count though. Really, that's weird. Why would iOS do that? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, Variety sounds like he has got the answer right there, but like that wouldn't make any sense. You need 1,000 subscribers to live stream on iOS. Why? Why is that a thing? I hate Apple. It's so stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Can you do Frontier City next when you're done with this? I probably won't do Frontier City. My plan is to finish this up, and I'm thinking by the time I finish this up, maybe Planet Coaster 2 will be on the horizon. And I would love to do Dollywood next. That's probably the next one I'm kind of planning, is Dollywood. That's what it tells me. That just doesn't make any sense. Why would you need 1,000 subs to do a stream on a channel? That doesn't make any sense. Love to hear the story behind Red River Valley when it was Six Flags. So, me and Gunner's idea for that, yes, it is being built from a Six Flags park. So after we're done building that and get finished with it, we wanted to make a Six Flags version. So it has like a Batman clone and different stuff like that for when it was Six Flags. So you can actually see what it looked like when it was Six Flags. Just subbed. Well, thank you so much, Imperial. I appreciate that. Thanks for the sub. That streaming thing is so dumb. That sounds dumb. I don't know why it says he can't, where I can't. See, that's why I'm on Android. Just saying. Like, why, what's the point of making you wait to have 1,000 subs before you can live stream on an iPhone or an iPad? Why? Why? I was actually thinking you should do that. Oh, yeah, Dollywood, yeah. A lot of people have suggested that one, and I think that would be the next best one for me to do, so. I subbed as well. Well, thank you guys for subbing. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. I'm hoping to I'm trying to push for that 10,000 subs. We're at, 6,300 right now? Somewhere around there? I think we're almost to 6,400 now, so that's great. Oh, the Six Flags thing. Got you. Of doing like a Six Flags version of the park. Yep, but Gunner's been pretty busy, and it's been hard for us to get together and work on the park. That's why you haven't seen an episode in so long. Hopefully our schedules will start clearing up pretty soon. Again, I'm pretty busy right now with pumpkins in the city, and I only get Mondays and Tuesdays off, except for 1 week I'm working 6 days, which is gonna suck a lot. I think it's a Google, and they put all sorts of weird restrictions on iOS's YouTube app. It's weird. Love asking all my harder questions here. Frontier City would actually be a good starter for Planko too. It would help getting the mechanics in. See, I don't really care for Frontier City though. I need to go back and try it again, but the one visit I had to Frontier City, I thought it was a horrible park. Like, I did not really care for it. Again, I was a kid when I visited, so it might be better now, but so I'm willing to give it another chance, but I remember it being a pretty bad park. It's where they have a big pumpkin stage, is where they're building, and the new fire in the hole is where they have the big pumpkin stage, is where pretty much it's in that area. So Pumpkin Plaza, if we go over here, Pumpkin Plaza is like over here by Expo. So if we go back it's between Fire in the Hole, or Fireman's Landing and Expo. Pumpkin Plaza is right here. The new Fire in the Hole is going to be right behind the Pumpkin Plaza. So that pumpkin stage, right behind it, that's literally the construction site for Fire in the Hole. For the new Fire in the Hole. They have all sorts of construction equipment back there, like a bunch of pieces down, and they have like a fence up around it too, so it used to be an employee parking lot, but then they closed it to employees, and then they never used it as a parking lot, and they used it more as like a place to store. Like when they were building Time Traveler, all the track pieces ended up right there. So in that parking lot, that's what they used that parking lot for. Was like for giant parts for different new rides and attractions, or like buildings and stuff, and all that fun stuff. So that's kind of where they stored it when they delivered all the parts to a new ride and stuff. So since Six Flags took over, it is now way better than it was back in the 2000s. That's what I was thinking. Like when it got sold to Six Flags, when Six Flags bought it, I actually was thinking like, for once, I actually thought that was a good thing. I'm not gonna lie. But alright guys, I think I'm gonna head off for now. I really do appreciate you guys checking the stream out, being here, and we'll be back very, very soon again. So thank you guys for joining. Make sure you have a great day. Cooler tomorrow. You guys are awesome. Thanks for keeping the chat alive and keeping the discussion going. We'll be back again every Monday. We're going to be streaming on YouTube, so don't miss it. Every Tuesday, we're streaming on Twitch, so don't miss that as well. So we usually do the SDC recreation here on YouTube every Monday. And we'll see what one I'm going to do tomorrow on Twitch. So also RMC Cheetah Hunt for Wild Adventures. But anyways, thank you guys. Have a great day. Cooler tomorrow. You guys are awesome. And thanks for all the new subs. I appreciate you guys big time. So thanks so much. And goodbye.